On my 51st birthday, my wife stood up in front of everyone, announced she was leaving me for a younger man, and my daughters actually applauded. What happened next shattered everything they thought they knew about our family. My name is Michael Carter, and until that night, I believed I had a perfect life, at least. That's what I told myself. The celebration was held at a lakeside restaurant in Chicago. My wife, Jennifer, had organized the party. Family members, friends, co-workers, everyone was there. The candles on my birthday cake were still burning when Jennifer tapped her glass. The room fell silent. She smiled. But it wasn't the smile I'd fallen in love with 23 years earlier. It was cold, calculated. "Michael," she said, "before you make a wish, there's something I need to tell you." A strange feeling settled in my stomach. Then she took a deep breath. "I'm leaving you." The room froze. Jennifer reached for the hand of a man sitting 2 tables away. He looked barely 30. "I'm in love with Daniel," she continued, "and I've never been happier." Gasps echoed through the room. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even blink. Then something happened that hurt more than Jennifer's betrayal. My daughters stood up. Emma and Sophie, the 2 girls I'd spent my entire life loving. They started clapping. The sound hit me harder than any punch ever could. Emma shook her head. "Dad, honestly, this marriage has been dead for years." Sophie nodded. "Mom deserves happiness." The restaurant became eerily quiet. Everyone waited for me to explode. Instead, I calmly placed my fork on the table. I wiped my mouth with a napkin. Then I stood. "Be happy, girls," I said softly. They smiled, but then I continued. "But know this." The smiles disappeared. "I'm not your biological father." Silence, complete silence. "I adopted both of you out of pity after your real father abandoned you." My daughters stared at me. Jennifer looked as if she'd seen a ghost. "And today," I said, "my pity ends." Then I walked away. Behind me, chaos erupted, but that wasn't even the biggest secret, not even close. The next morning, my phone exploded with messages. Emma called 27 times. Sophie sent dozens of texts. Jennifer left voice messages filled with anger. I ignored every one of them. Instead, I drove to a small cabin I owned in northern Wisconsin. For the first time in decades, I sat alone. No responsibilities, no sacrifices, no pretending. The truth was, Jennifer had met me when she was a struggling single mother. She had 2 daughters and crushing debt. I was a young architect building my career. Her boyfriend, Emma and Sophie's biological father, had disappeared before Sophie was born. Jennifer had nowhere to go. So I stepped in. I paid the bills. I changed diapers. I attended every school event. I worked 60-hour weeks, and eventually I legally adopted both girls, not because I had to, because I loved them. Or at least I thought I did. 3 days later, there was a knock on my cabin door. Emma, she looked exhausted. "Dad." I almost stopped her. That word sounded different now. She stepped inside. Tears filled her eyes. "Why didn't you ever tell us?" I stared out the window. "Because I didn't want you to feel unwanted." Her face crumpled. "But you are our dad." I didn't answer, because part of me wanted to believe her. Another part remembered the applause. The conversation lasted 2 hours. When she left, she was crying, and for the first time, I wasn't. But that night, another surprise arrived. A man named Robert Hayes, the biological father. The one who had vanished 25 years earlier. And somehow, he knew where to find me. He stood outside the cabin holding an envelope. "I think we need to talk." My pulse quickened. "What do you want?" He looked ashamed. "I just learned what happened." I laughed bitterly. "Took you 25 years?" He lowered his head. Then he handed me the envelope. Inside were court documents, medical records. And one shocking piece of information: Robert hadn't abandoned his daughters. Jennifer had disappeared. She'd taken the girls and moved across state lines. She had blocked every attempt he made to find them. I read the documents 3 times. My hands shook. The story I'd believed for decades was falling apart. And I still didn't know why. The next week became a nightmare. Lawyers, investigators' own calls, hidden records. Every new discovery revealed another lie. Jennifer hadn't just manipulated me. She had manipulated everyone, including her daughters. Robert had spent years searching, years. He'd hired private investigators, filed legal motions, written letters that never reached the girls. Jennifer intercepted everything. The reason? Money, control, fear. She worried Robert might eventually regain custody, so she erased him and replaced him with me. The realization was devastating, not because Robert existed, but because my entire marriage had been built on deception. Then came the final betrayal, the one that changed everything. A financial investigator contacted me. Jennifer and Daniel had already been preparing for months. Accurate bank accounts, high transfers brought treaty agreements. They weren't just planning an affair. They were planning my destruction. They intended to leave me financially ruined. Fortunately, Jennifer had underestimated one thing. I wasn't the trusting young man she'd met 23 years earlier. Years ago, I had quietly protected my assets through legal trusts created before our marriage. The fortune she'd expected to take? It wasn't available, not even close. When Jennifer discovered that fact, she panicked. Suddenly, she wanted to reconcile. Suddenly, she wanted to talk. Suddenly, Daniel wasn't so important anymore. I refused every meeting, every call, every apology. But the hardest moment came months later. Not with Jennifer. With Emma and Sophie, they invited me to dinner. Just the three of us. No lawyers, no drama, no accusations. When I arrived, both girls were already crying. Emma spoke first. "We were wrong." Sophie nodded. "We believed lies our whole lives." I sat quietly. They continued. "We thought you were controlling. We thought Mom sacrificed everything for us. We never knew what you gave up." Then Emma slid a photo across the table. It showed me teaching her to ride a bicycle. Another showed Sophie at a science fair. Another showed Christmas morning when they were 6 and 8 years old. Hundreds of memories, every one of them included me. Not Robert, me. Sophie wiped away tears. "Biology doesn't make someone a father." The room went silent. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then Emma reached across the table. "Can you ever forgive us?" That question hurt more than anything else, because, despite everything, I still loved them. Maybe love isn't erased by DNA. Maybe it survives betrayal. Maybe that's what being a parent really means. I looked at both women, the girls I'd raised, the girls who had broken my heart, and I smiled, slowly, genuinely. "Yes," I said. And all three of us cried. A year later, life looked completely different. Jennifer was gone. Daniel had left her after discovering there was no fortune waiting for him. Robert slowly rebuilt a relationship with his daughters. And surprisingly, we became friends, not rivals, not enemies. Two men connected by the same children. As for me, I finally found peace, not because I won, not because Jennifer lost, but because the truth finally surfaced. And truth has a way of setting people free. Sometimes the family you build is stronger than the family you're born into. Sometimes love survives even the deepest wounds. And sometimes the people who betray you become the reason you discover your own worth. On my 51st birthday, I thought I lost everything. In reality, it was the day I finally got my life back. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below.